Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing here? And this is going to be a update video for the Lava Pit amplifier. I made some changes to this Lava Pit, so I'm just going to go over some of those changes that I made. I guess I'm a little bit late doing this update video because I actually did this build quite a while ago, and I've just been trying to constantly test it and see if it actually works very well. And I'm happy to say it works very well. The only one issue I have, which is not really an issue, it's more of an issue for some other people, I guess, is that this build will not work well if you're at home base. If you're at home base, they may want to break this block off over here. But as long as you're like on this amplifier, in the lava island over there, or even up here in the hill amplifier, then you're perfectly fine. Sometimes I even just stand here to see what's going on in the tunnels in there, but yeah, I mean, it's a very stable build overall. Just make sure you're not on the east side of the map. So if you're on the east side of the map, and that includes the home base, then that is bad. Alright, so let's get down to it. Basically, I'm going to start from the spawn over here. So from the spawn, I have two tunnels. Initially I had two tunnels as well, but I did not integrate them, and because I couldn't figure out a really good way to integrate them well such that it'll be a stable build. And from here I can finally say that I actually integrated them in a really stable manner. Alright, so basically I start off with a ton of gas traps, ball darts, all the good stuff. Alright, I can even add wall darts over here. I could even put some, I can actually put a gas trap over here in this corner. I think probably over here too, but I didn't feel like it was really needed. I think it's a bit overkill. I want to keep this build somewhat minimal, but very effective at the same time. Alright, so gas, and over here there is these two wall launchers, and this is just to help with extra crowd control, and there's also this wall launcher over here. So these ones are just have higher durability, while this one is like the full thing. And this one will barely ever get hit. In fact, I haven't seen this take much health damage at all. This is just in case if for some reason you're on the east side of the map, for whatever reason, even if it's temporary, and this gets hit a little bit. And in that case, then it could help delay a little bit of time before you get back in the proper position. And same thing goes with these ones too. These ones will get used a little bit more. Even if the wall launchers do run out, your build should be perfectly fine. Right? So even though all the wall launchers will run out here, your build should be perfectly stable. Which is also another thing I try to look at when a stable build is the importance of having the wall launcher there. Alright, so this tunnels are like 4 deep in, and basically this is going to be just a little bit open. I want to make sure it's open at the very start and even towards the end of the tunnel, because pretty much all the husks are going to be coming in here, like literally all the husks. It includes from up here and down there. So because of that, I want to make sure that this is going to be a stable build, so that propane doesn't get aggravated when it gets cluttered up in here. And it's not cluttered up because it's pretty wide. I even chose not to use a wall launcher over here, just so that I can avoid that clutter, or a wall launcher over here, because it seems way too tight for 1x1 coming in with the majority of the husks walking this way. So I just decided to leave it open, and works perfectly fine, because they're probably going to path this way anyway, and they'll get hit by a wall launcher, another wall launcher, critical wall launcher, launch them back in the beginning of the tunnel. Same idea here. If they spawn over here, they can either enter in from here, or they can come in from here, right? Another thing to keep in mind is that this wall launcher is lower impact on purpose. I actually do not want to use a high impact wall launcher here, because I do not want to be husks to be encouraged to be launched over here and decide to bash on this wall, right? is it just, I mean, they probably won't, to be honest, but it's just more of an emergent, like a safety net, right? To make sure that they do path this way, right? And they get launched in this area. All right. So once we pass the critical wall launchers, then they drop into the floor launcher area. Before, this area was 11 tiles long of floor launching. And then when someone told me, be like, 11 tiles, isn't it a little bit too much? I'm like, maybe. So I reduced it down to 10. So 10 should be good enough, I suppose. All right. So the floor launchers, all right, go path down here, and that's 10 floor launchers. I made that single layer wood instead of double layer metal because I just wanted us to be encouraged to go behind the amplifier over there to break the thingamabobs down there. All right. And I've actually done quite a bit of testing in this fake area. So you see I have this fake area of literal nothingness, right? And this is actually trying to trick the Huss to actually want to path this way and not bash on those walls. I've actually tried, and this is actually probably the reason why I delayed this video so much, is because I kept trying to test all this crap out. So I actually tried doing this, for example, just something simple, a simple test like this, right? You're like, all right, what happens if I break those? Leave that there. And what happens if I break this? I'll be like, okay, let's test that out. Do a run, and for some reason, they actually break one of the walls down there. I'm like, what? Why? I have no friggin' idea. This thing has been like bothering me about how the hell this has been working. And when I do this build, the way I have this set up here seems to be the most stable. Like, I do not have any issues whatsoever of them bashing walls down there, and they path perfectly fine here. And usually a good way to test is the health damage on the walls. If you see a significant amount of health damage, that means the build is not stable, right? And sometimes you may see health damage on the wall, but usually it would probably be less than 2% if there was health damage. So if there was health damage on the wall, it would be literally less than 2% of the wall health. So like 150 wall damage or something like that. So that's like pretty much not really something to consider. If it's like 10%, 20%, 30%, or even 40%, you gotta have a real heavy concern over there, right? So this is basically the fake floor launcher, not floor launcher, the fake floor area, to trick the Huss in thinking that, hey, this is too high of a drop here. I'm gonna just walk over this way, the safer path, rated by many floor launchers, of course. All right. So this fake area is pretty much from this wall launcher over here, go all the way down there and just connect it straight up across, right? Pretty much a flat area. And from here, we're going to have to create some layering, right? To make sure they actually do path towards the west over here. So this fake area is basically going to start like right about here. So from here, we can see that we have some inner side floors over here to add some extra layering. And from here, there's also another one over here too. So you can see that these three floors are pretty much adding an extra layer right here. And then from these pyramids, they also add an extra layer from here. And this is going to be corresponding to with this wall over here, right? So that wall over here, that's how we're layering this area over here. Because they can bash either here or they can bash either there, and that's what that layer is going to be for. All right. Now I put a roof over here in case the flingers want to decide to bash on one of these walls over here for some reason and try to fling from over here. All right. So for this next layer, which is going to be corresponding to these two walls over here, right? We have another half floor, and I did not put a half floor here. The reason being is because below, if we look down here, below is actually something that they can actually drop down on. So there's no point in using a half floor, right? But because of that, I have to add this wall over here to ensure that this is indeed an extra layer. Right, so you have to put walls on both sides to make sure that is indeed an extra layer for this particular wall, right? Because if they were gonna, if in the case that they were going to bash through, this wall would probably be the wall that they would want to bash through, right? And then this one would be another possibility, right? But this one is also, but this one would probably be the one if it would be one of these two walls, right? This wall will probably not be bashed because literally right on this side there's a long pathway that they can just walk towards, right? And I had that experience too when I was doing testing of their various different versions of this, right? To see if I can make this build more efficient by not using so many structures. And it seems always this wall, if you messed up, would be the one to bash, right? And this one would be another option too, of course, too. All right. So for that wall, we have that layer, right? And then box that in too. And we also have over here another layer. There's no half floors over here because they can just drop down. So I just felt like that would be fine. And over here, this is also for this wall over here. This is just regular pyramids, or slants, sorry, and wall over here. And then there's another flat wall over here. So this is pretty much several layers of metal walls over there. And then from underneath, I have one more additional layer over here. So this additional layer is going to help ensure, well, at least I think it is, right? It's really hard to test how many layers you really need and what floors you really need, but it's just this build in particular, in my case, seems to be the most stable build of all the test runs I've done, right? So this is pretty much all the layering here, and from this critical wall launcher over here inside, I also have additional layering just in case maybe like a flinger wants to bash out, but it wouldn't make sense because they can just walk over here. But this is just in case they want to bash out over here. I have additional layering with this wall. I don't think I actually need this wall. Yeah, it doesn't make sense I would need this wall actually. Alright, so that would be it. And from below over here I have a door, right? And this door is actually going to be where I'm going to place my base over here, right? So place my base over here, and the reason being is because this area is going to be the most crowded area. So I want to make sure that this area gets the slow effect. And also I want some floor launchers towards the beginning to have the slow effect because there's going to be some husks coming here, like husky husks, maybe even some elemental husks in there too. If these traps are starting to run out completely, then they're going to drop down here, and then they need that extra slow. 15% slow would actually help quite a bit to get them killed. All right, so that's why I have this space spot in this corner. It's also easy access. All right. I have this triangle over here on this side to make sure that this is extra protection. Also, the triangles not only add extra protection, but they add extra protection against smasher charging, right? So if you have any experience with smashers charging your walls, assuming your base is not completely naked, because it should not be naked, then the pyramids is one really good alternative behind the walls to make sure they don't charge them, right? Well, it should work at least. Another counter to smasher charging is if you had any problems with smasher charging, you can also use tar pits. Tar pits stop, well, they should stop these smashers from charging, right? Alright, so this is this tunneling area here covered, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've done various versions of this build too, like for example, I've tried using a pathing them towards the geyser, and this is actually pretty difficult to do, actually, to try to path them that 2 extra trials towards the north. It's actually very difficult, but if you actually pull it off, it's pretty hilarious. Because I think you have to open up that hole in the cave. You have to do you had to really do heavy amount of block offs towards this east side, right? Without them actually being aggravated and be like, oh, I'm just gonna bash through these walls. There's a heavy amount of blocking off you have to do to path them over there. But there is a build that can path you over there, and I do have some gameplay footage of it, which is pretty funny. But there's also one more additional thing too I should mention, which I didn't mention in the other video, is this area over here, connecting to my Valley amplifier. Connected to my Valley amplifier over here is actually a flinger lure, in a sense. So the majority of the flingers, at least from what I've seen, a lot of them are going to try to path over here, all the way around over here, so they can get to this spot to try to fling. And this area is just literally acting as a way to cycle the flingers, so that they actually will never reach this spot. And if they do, well, they're going to get launched anyway, right? So it was just a nice solution if you ever had any flinger problems, for example, right? Because sometimes flingers, they don't like to go through the tunnels that you make, and they're like, what the hell, man? So, yep, this is still a 3-layer block off, which is fine. Alright, so I think that is pretty much it for this update video. Probably have some gameplay footage I can probably put in the video, but yeah, I hope you learn something from this or take some ideas from this, right? But if you're gonna do this real empty area of the floors, you really should test it out and make sure it works. Then actually works in your build, right? Because I tried removing a lot of these floors. I tried removing so many floors, and even still little floors, to make sure to see if it makes a difference. And I haven't had any success other than just this area over here. This area over here, like, I ran it many times and it seemed perfectly fine. So I'm like, all right, cool. All right, so that'll be it. All right, take care, guys, and have some fun building.